In my Amazon business, we've had VAs purchasing over £100,000 worth of stock per week on my credit cards. And if you're interested in learning how we do it, how we find them, train them, and develop them into becoming Amazon buyers for our business, then stay tuned. I'm going to share everything with you in this video today. Purchasing managers. This is a VA within my business who is not only buying the products, they're also analyzing them, and they're managing the entire Amazon business for me from the people perspective to make sure it's running day to day. This just allows me to step back, which is an ideal goal behind my life. I want to have time freedom and I want to build a team to make it happen. They are going to be working 40 hours per week and they're going to be reporting to me, like the Amazon business owner. Here you can see their structure. So they're going to be the owner, the purchasing manager, they're going to have sources, products, researchers underneath, and admin VA. So they're going to be managing the team day to day operationally on my business. Now they're going to be doing things like support calls, meetings, performance management, working with direct reports, meetings coordinations. They're also going to be managing the training with their VAs underneath them, working with suppliers, and if there's anything else they need to do, they'll do that as well. Now, kind of the key areas they're going to be looking at are going to be purchasing strategy. So making sure that the sources underneath them are doing the work necessary for the company to achieve its gross profit, update its purchasing guidelines, and do accurate reporting. So for my business to make money, purchasing manager is key on that. They're also going to be doing the purchasing operations. So actually spending the money, buying the products, analyzing towards the guidelines is going to be really important, and achieving the gross profit target. Now they're going to be doing things like cash control, which is really important. Obviously handling my credit cards. My God, I do not want them walking out with, all my money. So they're going to have that as well. They're going to have standards, account health, and they're going to be doing training development of the team. And obviously any projects that we need to do, for example, opening up new strategic suppliers, opening up working brands. These things are going to be really, really important. So working with that as well. Now, one of the questions you might be asking is, how do you find purchasing managers? Do you put a job on Upwork or onlinejobs.ph? And my short answer is no, not at all. I only promote purchasing managers internally. I never, ever look for external purchasing managers. And the reason for this is for the one simple fact that I'm going to be giving them access to my credit cards. Generally, I'm always looking for people who've been in the company at least 3 months. I'm looking for people who have got a history, a track record of being able to be trustworthy. I'm able to trust them in managing my business, but also as well working with other team members within my team. Now, you might be asking, how do you actually train a purchasing manager? Well, let me go through now exactly the step-by-step process that we are going through in my own business right now, because I've recently lost my purchasing manager and my now purchasing assistant is going to step up. So I'll talk you through the exact guidelines, how we do that, and the way it works. If you are part of the Fast Track FBA Seller Academy, you're going to get access to this and it'll probably be updated. So I'll give you all the documents, everything you see, and so much more here. So first things first, the guide is broken down into 5 sections. Number 1, we're going to have a day 1 checklist. Number 2, we're going to talk about time boxing, and we'll go through exactly how we break their week down. I'll explain why we do it this way. Number 3, we're going to create what's known as an issues log, because then we can have dialogue and conversations around any problems that we need to fix. Number 4, we're going to keep what's known as a worries tracker. Moving into management leadership is hard, not just teaching the how to do it, but also the mindset is really important, and the worries tracker does that as well. And then finally, we have the KPI sign-off sheet. Now, the KPI sign-off sheet is just going to allow us to make sure that they have ticked all the boxes, know exactly all the standards that we require, and we are happy with them. So therefore, they're able to do the job at the standard we expect. Day 1, what you're going to be looking at is just going through the whole training process. So we're going to look here, we're going to review this list, we're going to go through the training setup, we're going to go through conversations around salary expectations, what's the current salary, what should it be. We'll look at the job description, the thing that I just looked at. We're going to look at the skills gap, we'll talk about that. We're going to look at what skills need to develop. We'll talk about how the salary needs to rise, and we'll discuss also that sign-off sheet, one that I pointed out back here. Now, we'll also go through any what's known as OKRs and quarter tracker. This is in my business, how we manage the business. So we're going to update them, reassign them to the new person, and allocate their responsibilities to them. We'll talk about the mindset, which is really important around setting them up in the right mindset. Then we'll go through any worries. We'll just document them, that's fine. Then we'll go through the time allocation map. So again, ideal working week down the bottom. And we're just going to define the time blocks and how that works. And then finally, we'll go through the KPI assessment. So actually, that's the sign-off sheet, what they need to sign off for. And then we'll go through any other kind of issues. So we've got like issues to be resolved right now, maybe like right now in my business, maybe like the repricing process, deal review process, hiring again. Do we need to look at the sources, salaries, next steps, check in? And then finally, like, how are you feeling? This is day 1. This is the first meeting we're having after the call. Say, well done, congratulations, you got it. Now we're going to go through this training program. How are you feeling? What are your worries? What are your concerns? And then we're going to finish. So that's really it. And then kind of get them going. Let's kind of go through the sheets first of all. This is the kind of roadmap that we're looking at. So everything we're going to be covering. So if I go through the tabs, what are we going to be looking at here? So step number 1 is going to be your ideal working week. By setting time blocks, we set not only allocations of time, we also give them expectations of how long tasks should take. which is really important. We got basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we've got 8 hours. So they do a 40-hour week. I put in here projects, or should we say color coding, and then they've got actual work from there. So the 5 key areas are LMA, leadership, management, and accountability. Now, the next one they have what's known as operations. So this is actually the bit that makes the money or does the key work. And then we have admin, so like paperwork, checks, business development, for example. Then we have learning and change. Now, learning and change is as you move up in an organization, let's say, for example, you're a sourcer, then a purchasing manager, and then you're an owner. The higher up you get, the more time you should have to think strategically. And really think about this as in like sharpening the axe. Then we have what's known as owner LMA. Now, owner LMA is the fact that this person has a manager above them, i.e. me. So I need to do my LMA work with that team member. And generally speaking, especially now they're in training, I'm going to try and do about 4 hours per week minimum to developing them once or twice per day, touching base and making sure that they're getting the development they need to drive forward. So this is me doing my leadership, management, and accountability with my purchasing manager. So they're the kind of 5 blocks that we break it down into. And what I'll do here is just talk you through each of the blocks. So the way I talked about it, if I was a purchaser, I would do Monday. So I have my admin reports checks. So I come in on first thing on a Monday, I just do all my checks. I do my reporting, not a problem. On my admin on the next hour, I do team logger, which is time tracking, and any other checks I have. Then I'd probably have a meeting with my team. So I've done all my checks in the morning and then I have my team meeting. Fantastic. Then I've got some spare gaps. Again, you can fill it with what you need to do, but I'd probably say I need at least 2 hours of analyzing deals, reviewing and making purchases in that time. And then finally, at the end of the day, I'll probably have my meeting or the meeting with the purchasing manager with the owner of the business. So level 10 with owner. Now, day 2, when we have meetings here, what we always do is we create what's known as issues logs. These are things that need to be resolved. So day 2, when I come in the morning, I'd want to be resolving those issues, getting them fixed. That's my time to get it done. I know that of those issues, that's the amount of time I allocate to fix them. Then I got a free space. Then I'd do my repricing checking. So I'm checking my repricer, seeing if there's any problems. And again, I have a process for that, and I'll talk about all those processes in a bit. Then I do my reorders. So I figure out what do we need to reorder, and I collect that, and we have a really good process for that. Then we have 2 hours of deal review and purchasing. Then I'd probably have part of my LMA with one of my team members. So I want to sit down with them on a one-to-one basis once a week and just check in, see how we need to improve things, what needs to get better. So again, I speak to my admin, for example, and then I have my LMA with my line manager, for example, me, if I was a purchaser, going with my owner. Then Wednesday, I have what's known as OKRs, so a gap, and then OKRs. And OKRs are big strategic projects that we're trying to change within the business. For example, could be find a new warehouse, prep center, find 10 new wholesale suppliers, for example, or it could be train and develop a certain team member to a certain standard, or look at some area of our business that we really want to drive forward. So they're my 2 hours per week that I'm allocating to just driving big change within my business, and I box that out. Then again, I have purchasing, and then again, I have another time that I sit down with my sourcer, so like another team member, develop them, give them some challenges to focus on this week, just trying to keep pushing them forward. And then finally, with my owner or the owner as well there. Now, Thursday, I'm going to have admin, so I've got additional admin time there. So if I need to do any additional admin, I have that. I have repricing checking again, reorders, purchasing, meeting with sourcer 2, and then meeting with the owner. And then finally, Friday is going to be meeting with sourcer, deal review and purchasing, and then I have my experimentation time, which again is really important about looking back on the week, saying, if there's one area I could improve, what would I do to make next week better? And that experimentation time is about making the 2mm shifts or the 1% every single week to drive your business forward, or you as a purchasing manager, owner, better forward. So the next one we kind of go through is training's issues log. As we go through the training, we're going to document or write down every single problem we have. We're going to write what is the problem. For example, it might be like pay rise 4 p.m. And then as we go through it, we're going to say, what's the solution? So create updated payroll to reflect the new pay increase. And then who's going to do it? Tom's going to do that. So this is going to create a list of actions that we need to create over the week. And then when we come back next week, it's literally going to go, Tom, have you done the pay rise? You can create the payroll. And I'll go, yes, I have. The next one we have is worries tracker, which is exactly the same as the issues tracker, but it's not so much who's going to do something. It's like, what is your worry? Whenever you feel a concern, let's talk about them. For example, a purchasing manager might be like, I don't feel confident I can speak to a supplier. I feel really nervous on the phone. Okay, cool. Let's put it in there. When we talk about confidence, I've actually put a little affirmation up the top, which is you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And again, I got that from Alex Hormozy. Why? Because every single time you have that limiting belief, you can read that affirmation and go, you know what? You're right. Like, I'm not supposed to feel confident now. I'm supposed to build up the stack of proof. Then I become confident. Now I understand. So let's do it. So that's really, really important. So again, we just go through these worries and we're going to document them as we go through, have time to discuss discuss them from the filing cabinet and then solve them. And again, this is going to teach the skills, also the mindset traits that are going to be really important. Then the final one we have is the KPI assessment sign-off. Now, the goal behind this is we want to measure the performance of the purchasing manager to the standards required. We're not here to fail them. We're here to make sure they are trained to the standard required and we can see evidence of that. That's the important thing. Our goal is we're going to go through each one of these processes from the time blocks, and then we're going to put them in here. And once we've gone through it, we do a review date and then just sign off. Now, once they've signed off all of this, they've now completed their training and we're really happy. So they're able to do everything we've asked them to do for the role, all the tasks to standard. And that is the way that we're going to ensure that our team members know not only what to do, but they can do it to standard. They've been assessed, and also they know how to allocate that onto their time and then manage the business effectively. And so within our business, we're going to go through all of those those points, those documentations, just to make sure they know exactly what they need to do. And this is going to take over a 3-month period to support them from becoming a sourcer to training up to being a purchasing manager, spending time, money, and effort on my business, which is going to help me grow my team and my business.